Welcome to the Airbnb Blueprint Podcast, your go-to training hub for building your very own Airbnb business. In each episode, we break down the exact blueprint that helped us build a multi-six-figure Airbnb business from scratch, and we'll show you how to do the same. Continue learning with us for free in the Airbnb Blueprint coaching community on Facebook. Find the link in our show notes below. Commit, believe, succeed. Let's go. Pooh, welcome to the show, mate. Thanks for joining.
Good to be back again. So
it's good to have you, mate. In this episode, we want to talk about mindset. You know, it gets spoken about a lot, right? It gets thrown about on socials, and there's lots of gurus and stuff out there, but it is important. And like we said before, this podcast is all about keeping it real, all about being honest and genuine about what it really takes. So let's break it down, the mindset and some of the beliefs that are true and maybe not so true around getting into business. So a lot of people out there want to, sack off the day job, get away from the boss. They've had enough of, having someone else in control of their time, deciding how much their time is worth, and they want to get out and they want to start their own business. And I think that's what we want to talk about, some of the pros and cons around that. So let's start with some of the cons. Fortunately, they're a lot less than the pros, but let's get them out the way first. So let's talk about some of the challenges and the downsides and the sacrifices that are necessary when getting out of your day job and looking to get into business. And most likely, seeing as you're listening to this podcast, an Airbnb serviced accommodation business. Pooh, what do you reckon?
Yeah, Alex, what would you say to people? Sorry, I'm just gonna kind of re-ask you back the question a little bit, because a lot of time when people come into business, sometimes what do you think? Like, do they just fall into it, or would they have to go through some kind of moment in life? Maybe, let's say, I can say from my own experience. So I used to work for an oil and gas industry in a corporate background, and the money was, I would say, it was okay. Wasn't the best.
Above average.
But it is above average. I was living comfortably. I got paid everything, each month. But right at the end of each month, I always ask myself, like, where did my money go? Because the rent takes off, things take off, utilities, this and that, cars. Looking back, is dried, And then at some point, we had a massive downturn in the industry, and a lot of people got laid off. And I'm talking like a lot of people just got laid off in the office, and things got super ugly there, and people start backstabbing in the office, start like threatening other people, not directly, but kind of indirectly.
Yeah.
Write some mean emails and this and that.
And it's when those things happen that people's true colors and you really understand that everybody at the end of the day are out there for themselves and their families, and everyone else can go to hell.
Yep. So it doesn't really matter, like, whatever nice words and all the things that you have done. It's in the end, it's like every man for themselves, and I came to the point where I had my own, I would say it's a fuck it moment, that I said, I've had enough with all this crap. I need something else that's going to change my life. I can't rely on this forever. So, but I have no ideas about what to get into, how to run the business, because my family's background isn't from a business family. I am from like a traditional, work hard, study hard.
Yeah. Highly educated, get into the corporate world.
And still broke, So, but the thing is, to come into business, like I kind of fall into it. And
I think that is true, and it's something that we've spoken about before. Again, people that get into this business, a lot of them are coming from a place of employment, like you were, like I did, desperate for the change, desperate to make more money, desperate to get the time back, desperate to make the most of themselves and fulfill their potential, because they know in the back of their mind, I'm playing it safe.
Yep.
And I know that I can do more, but I don't really know where to start. So they're coming into it without the knowledge of how to build a business.
And without the right mindset as well.
Without the right mindset. So then you go and do your training, you get given some of the tools that you need to go out and get started, but you're missing mindset and you're missing those pillar foundations around building business and all that kind of stuff that we spoke about in the last episode. So
do you remember the days like when you went to some kind of training, or you listen to something for the first time and you're like, wow, amazing. I love to be doing that, and you get so pumped.
Yeah.
And then you go to the training, you feel like over the moon because everyone else went nuts at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you came out like super, super pumped. And then after the third days, and what's going to happen to it? Like you came out pumped, you could conquer the world, you can do everything, right? But after, like, say a month after that, when you really dip your toes in, reality kicks back in.
Yeah. That is the truth. Exactly that journey. So, you lose the job or you quit the job. If you quit the job, hopefully you've got a cushion in the bank that's going to see you through, getting set up. And you're on this high. You're like, fuck this. I'm going to go out and take over the world, fulfill my potential, become the, the king that I think I am or the queen that I think I am. And then unless you're like an Elon Musk, which some of you might be, majority of us aren't, then it's going to be like this,
massive dip.
This back down to earth with a bump where you're like, shit, okay. Then you have this realization that job was actually pretty easy. Okay, it didn't light me up. I didn't go running into the office every day, but it was consistent. I knew what I was doing. I wasn't thinking about it at night. I wasn't worrying about it on the weekends. I just got up, handed over some of my time, gave them my 8 hours. And then at the end of the month, I got given what that boss or that owner decided that time was worth.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, it was boring. Yes, I was feeling a little bit empty, a little bit soulless inside, but I knew the bills were going to get paid. I knew I was going to get, consistently be able to meet my outgoings. And now it's like, okay, we're a month in. I thought that maybe I'll be on my way by now. And all I've had is maybe 300 no's. And now I'm starting to doubt myself. And now we're at the point where, okay, now it's mindset city.
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? So what do you do? What do you do in that time when things get a bit dark?
When it gets really, really bad, I have to exercise. That's the only way that would pull me out. Do any form of exercise, be HIIT training, go for a run, whatever you do just to sweat it out. And then for some reason, the dopamine will kick in, adrenaline will kick back in a little bit. You feel like shit that day for sure because you haven't exercised that much before.
You pulled your back, blew your knee.
But it will bring you right back, and it'll bring your high back, and then your belief and everything back. So it's really important, like, before people come to do any kind of business, they have to have a reason that's bigger than them, a reason that is, it's got nothing to do with them. If somebody, but I wouldn't say like, it has to be like so unreal, unreachable. Like I want to help 1 million people or I want to help the world straight away. That's not it. But it has to be a very personal reasons. When you hit a bad day, you just go back to that point and then scoop up yourself, and reach for that, find the power to bring you right back in.
Yeah.
Back into the game again. So
I think if you go in with realistic expectations, like you said, have your strong why, have that belief of, okay, this is why I'm doing it. This is where I'm going. This is the end result. But at the same time, if at the beginning you're realistic and you're like, okay, I know for the next 6 months, I'm going to have to put in twice the work for half the money, maybe even no money. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. I've got the money put aside. Maybe I'm going to cut down my outgoings. I'm going to miss the holiday. I'm going to return the car, get a better car, lower my payments, whatever it is. And I'm going to go hell for leather for the next 6 months because I know that, I'm going to be on my way to get where I'm going. Where people go wrong is where they quit the job or they lose the job. And then they do a course or they watch some stuff on social media and they're like, in 2 months, I'm going to be right back there. Yeah. And it's just simply not going to happen, unless you've got a life-changing product or you're a complete genius or you've already got, you're already ahead in some way. You've already got contacts or you've already got, some other assets that you can use or whatever to help you get ahead quicker. There's going to be a period of time where you're really going to have to put in the hard yards. Yeah. And just accept that. I think the other good thing to really do, and this isn't rocket science or top secret stuff, but I think it's about surrounding yourself by the people that are on the same journey. I think that's absolutely massive because if you're struggling and your go-to is to open up Instagram and look at other Airbnb hosts and, how many millions of pounds they're making every year or how many thousands of properties they have around the world, okay, maybe it's going to inspire you a little bit, but at the same time, it's just going to kick you in the nuts and make you feel like you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So, you want to be around at the beginning, people who are all kind of in the similar boat in your networking events, in the Facebook groups, in your masterminds, whatever it is, that's where you're going to go and get re-energized.
Yeah. And I think, people with the same kind of level of support as well, that, sometimes if you go to a mentor, and a mentor says back to you, oh, well, you should do this, it's not quite connecting, right? Because sometimes you have a shit day and you just want to be able to kind of vent it off to the group to say, hey, it's not working today.
Yeah.
But the group would say, yeah, it's okay. It's not working for me either. It's fine. Let's regroup ourselves. Let's do it again tomorrow.
I think something else that's worth dropping into this episode is something that's so important, I think, is whoever you're working with, whether it's a business partner or even more importantly, a life partner, they have to be like supportive in that period that you're going through. You need someone, when you're in the shit and when you're really down and when you're really negative and you just want to vent and moan, you don't want to be with someone that's like, for fuck's sake, what are you talking about? Just get on with it. At the same time, you don't need someone that just agrees with everything that you're saying, but you do need someone who's going to listen and be sympathetic and understand what you're going through. And at the same time, be able to kind of, take all that negativity that you're feeling and spin it around and make you leave that meeting or leave that room or leave that environment in a much more positive way. There's someone that comes to mind in my life that I'm thinking of right now, really super close friend of mine. And I can go to, when I'm just like the most pathetic form of myself. And I'll always leave there like, okay, like
I can do it again.
I've got this.
Yeah. Amazing.
And you need that person.
100%.
And let's touch on the partner thing because it's important. If you're with someone who isn't supportive, who is negative, who is holding you back, that can be really toxic in allowing you to be successful.
I think it's hard as well sometimes, if you are in a relationship and if you wanted to pursue a goal that is larger than you, yes, you need somebody to be with you, but, sometimes it's harder to say like, I'm going to walk away from that person. Because they're not on the same level, on the same board, Sometimes it's important to work with them and kind of bring them up together. If that person means a lot to you, if they mean the world to you, you do whatever it takes to kind of bring them up together, and then let's grow together. I think that's the key.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not saying like you just need to like dump them and go running, but you need to, at all times, you need to be around people that are, heading in the same direction or at least supportive with the direction that you're going in. I've spoken about it on the show before. In the past, I've been in relationships with people that, you're on your phone dealing with some important stuff and they're like, what are you doing? You're always on your damn phone and, give me some, this is the weekend, switch off. Why don't you ever switch off? All that kind of stuff. And you're like, business, it doesn't switch off. This is one of the sacrifices that you have to accept.
Yeah, because I think at some point, yes, if you're not a massive conglomerate or massive companies, the decision would still come back to you at the end. Of course. You have a duty to make money for the company and to see it thrive. So you have the responsibility that you have to bear it all the time, really.
All the time.
Yep. And a lot of times, I think for people who wants to come into the business, right, they have to bear in mind that at some point you're going to have to work for free. Like you're going to get no pay for it and you have to be okay with that. Because there are times like that, we've had our times like that as well. That we work for free, no pay, nothing. It just keep going until we make it and then we get the money back, So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom, but it has their own, benefits as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get into the benefits now that we've got the negatives out of the way. Not negatives, but, challenges, accepting the extra work, accepting that you're going to be maybe a little bit on the back foot financially for a while, accepting that, understanding that maybe you're going to be doing, twice the work for half the money or no money while you're getting going. But more importantly, the benefits of it. And for me, similar to you, we know each other's history, being business partners, but in my previous job, I made great money.
Yep.
did almost nothing, had very little outgoings, working on super yachts, seeing the world. It was amazing. It really, really was. And I appreciated it every single day. But there was something inside of me that was like, I know I can do more. I know I can achieve more. I know I'm capable of more. And but at the root of it, I think the thing that kind of was eating me up over the kind of near decade that I was on the boats was that someone else was putting a value on my time, and I was limited. It doesn't matter how much more work I did, how much better my attitude was, how much more just effort I put into the job, I was still getting paid the same.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot to that because, whether you're in this business or any other business, it's up to you, and that's so exciting to not know, or to be able to sit there and visualize and say, okay, if I can hit A, B, C, D, E, and F, right, over the next 12 months, I could be making this, or I could be making that, and I could have that car, or I could be going on that holiday, or I could be buying that house. It's completely up to you how much money you want to make, how big you want to scale the business, how many other streams of income you want to generate, and then other side businesses that come off the side of that. It's completely up to you, and that is amazing.
Yeah, but I think there's some issues with that as well, in a sense that sometimes when you're just starting out, it's either you're so far ahead of yourself, or you can't see it happening at all.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
And you'll be like, can I actually make it work? And you started to kind of doubt yourself. And I think that's why having a firm belief and a solid reason why you're doing this is so important. And then you just keep going, and there's going to be time where things would go completely wrong and you'll be like, I'm going to pack up. It's not going to work anymore. But I think that's the time that we need to kind of, regroup, get ourselves together, and then just keep going. Yes, we have to assess the situations and then keep tackling in a different ways, but we're still pushing ahead with with the stuff that we wanted to do. And that's how you can really go for it.
It's such a huge subject, and we'll touch on a couple of actual tangible things that you can do just towards the end that can maybe help you with building that mindset. Just some little hacks and some little bits and pieces that we've got tons of content in our online program that we've built, that you can find some of that over in the Facebook community that we kind of drip feed in there, and is also part of our mastermind mentorship program. But there's tons of stuff in there around mindset, little hacks, little things that you can do, simple things that can help to keep a clear mind, keep you energized. Anyway, we'll talk about that.
Is that like getting up at 4 a.m?
Yeah, 3. 3 a.m, ice bath, meditate, read 3 books, and then take the kids to school.
You forgot to have sex.
Sex, and then a smoothie. Yeah, and don't forget the smoothie.
By 6 a.m, you're done.
By 6 a.m, game over. But something else, Pooh, about the mindset and some of the pros to being in the business is being back in control of your time.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to decide, when you want to work, when you want to take that day off, when you want to take the kids to school, all that kind of stuff is just another amazing, side effects of being in business. And when you have those, when you have those days, when you're able to say yes to that friend's wedding, or yes to that birthday event, or yes to, whatever it is, it's those kind of moments where you need to stop and go, okay, that's pretty cool, and I can only do that now because of the position that I've got myself into by having the balls and the courage to go out and build this business by myself and take back control. And okay, maybe I'm making a little bit less, but to be able to take my kid to that event, or be able to, go to that birthday and on a Wednesday afternoon, that kind of tops up the difference of that, just that money that you're making. You've taken that, it's like you've taken that money, like those little time coupons, and switched it into freedom, right? And that's what you've now got. And it's those things where you're like, okay, it starts filling the cup up, filling the soul, and it starts energizing you more and more. And I like this, I want more. And then naturally the success and the growth starts to come because of the way that you're feeling.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I am so grateful to be in the business and to be able to raise my 2 kids. I pretty much was with them the whole time since they was, since their birth. And it's such a privilege just to be there all the time. I mean, it's such a hard work. I mean, this is like one of the hardest jobs I've ever done, just being with them, doing everything with them. But it's so rewarding, and I wouldn't give it for anything else. So
yeah, absolutely. It's pretty like, sometimes I give you a call and you're like kid in each arm, plates are all stacked up behind, the places are, like a bomb sites, bombs gone off. But I can just tell you're so happy they're doing that.
I think, like say sometimes like when I take the mentees call, I had to apologize to them in advance. I said, look, I'm really sorry, but I've got kids with me as well because you call at a different time.
Yeah.
But I do pick up the phone, and then the kids will be screaming, one screaming for food, the other one's like, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But everyone's very, accommodating. They understand and said, you know what, I love to be in your position.
Absolutely.
I love to do that same thing.
Yeah.
I said, and you can get there. You just need to follow certain things that we do. And same results really. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, something else that can really help you to navigate through the ups and downs of what it is an absolute friggin' yo-yo of emotions when you're in business is having either that person, like I said earlier, the friend, the life partner, the business partner who's super uber supportive, or having that mentor, right? A mentor of some form, whether it's in a paid capacity as a part of your training mentorship within the business, or, someone who's just that ear to kind of that person to lean on. If it is going to be a paid mentor kind of situation, make sure that person is going to be available. And this is where it's really important that comes back to the training. Who are you going to go with? Who are you going to talk to? Because a lot of the time, you might, get involved with someone or some training program or some school, and then you find out that person's just never really available.
Yeah.
Right? The person that was at the top, the person that you bought into, the person that was on the stage that really got you excited and that you felt that trust and that connection with, you're like, okay, this is for me. I want some of this. I want to be working with that guy. That person made me feel really good, really energized. I believed in them. I loved the story. And then all of a sudden you sign up and you find out that person is not really involved in the training at all, so you need to know that person is going to be available within reason. You can't expect them to be there at 3 a.m., when you're having a bad time and you can't sleep, but you should be able to book in a call or know that every single week you're going to get that time so that you can vent those problems and be heard and be seen and feel comfortable, and know, most importantly, that you're going to get that support. You're going to get those words of wisdom. You're going to get that accountability. You're going to get that hand holding that's going to pull you back out of that valley that we were speaking about just recently, right? That valley of darkness. Yeah. Let's talk about that wave line, because that's quite important, right? So kind of what we were saying earlier, when you first start your business, you're on this massive high. And you're so convinced and so sure that within the next 12 months, you're going to be, in the Lambo, living it up on the beach, everything's good. But the truth is, it's probably going to go, pretty average before it really takes off, right? So, and then what happens is you have this huge wave of adrenaline and it's all new, it's all exciting. And then it turns out it's a hell of a lot harder than you thought. You realize that you don't know 99% of what you need to know. And there's all these weaknesses and flaws in your knowledge around this new business, which is to be expected. And then all of that you start to sink. And then you find yourself in this, what they call the valley of despair. And you're like, shit, this isn't going to work. I'm spending money. I'm hemorrhaging my savings. Nothing's coming in. All I'm getting is no's. I don't know enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Everyone's doing better than me. And then when you're in that valley, that's when the majority of people either quit, go back and find another job, or they tell themselves, this isn't working. It's all bullshit. I've been spun a lie. I've spunked all my money. I've made this big mistake. I'm going to go off and do crypto, or I'm going to go off and do Amazon FBA, or I'm going to go off and do drop shipping, instead of going, okay. And we've been there, right?
Yeah.
Recently, we've been there, trying different things. We're like, shit, this doesn't work. Yeah. Should we can it? Should we do this? Should we do that? And then it's like, no. While we're in this valley of despair, what we're realizing is what our audience don't want, or what isn't working, or things that we need to tweak and change. but you stick with it, you make the changes, and then you start to find that
back up.
now you're on the up again. Now you're heading back up to even the higher mountains with the better view. It's so true.
But when you were in the valley, what let's say, can you tell, the audience, like, what would you do to get yourself out, like, mentally?
Yeah.
I do know what you do. Like you go out to bike a lot, right? So
yeah, a few like main kind of takeaways for me would be real tangible things. Like for me, the way that I feel physically, if I'm eating crap and maybe I've had a few too many drinks or, I'm overindulging in certain areas or I'm not getting enough sleep, all of that stuff makes me feel slow and sluggish and bad about myself.
Yeah.
And then when I'm bad about myself, and we all know, we've all gone out and got, drunk. And the next day for me, like the next week, literally I'm rolling around like feeling like absolute, the lowest of the low, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a useless waste of space, I'm blah, 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 blah. And you just hate yourself, right? So for me, it's about eliminating all of that stuff, eating right, getting enough sleep, being around the right people, doing plenty of exercise and not feeling bad about it, right? That's an important note. To not say, I'm out running or I'm out cycling at 10 in the morning while everyone else has got their head down, grafting, grinding, I should be doing that. And then you start beating yourself up about it.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm going to go out. I'm going to turn off. I'm going to re-energize myself, come back and probably achieve twice as much as I would have in half the time. Or I'm going to put in a couple of extra hours in the evening, whatever it is, but making sure that I'm getting my exercise in. So that's the biggest thing, I think, is the way I treat myself, doing my exercise. And then after that, for me, it's about having that person that I can talk to, that I can vent to, that I can be a pathetic piece of shit around and they won't judge me or tell me I'm, this or that. They'll listen, support me, let me vent, and then come back with not just a pat on the back and it's going to be okay, but some actual real tangible, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. And, this person that I'm thinking of, you are, is not a paid mentor, but she's a mentor in every single possible way for me in business, in the way I feel about myself, in business ideas. And, I'm just very lucky to have her in my life. But yeah, so for me, those two things: exercise, the way I feel, sleep, diet, what I'm eating, not drinking, exercising, and speaking to the right people.
I would say my meditation, my quiet time is in the gym.
Yeah.
Or just, just be by myself for 30 minutes. That's all I need. I don't need to have, 2 hours in a gym or anything like that, but just 30 minutes doing a HIIT exercise by myself, no phone. No phone is the most important thing for me.
Yeah.
Like no ping, 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 ping. I don't need all that. No WhatsApp, no phone, no Instagram, just by myself, quiet.
Yeah, as we start getting to the end of this episode, let's talk about some of the tangible things that you can do. One of what you just touched on. So, well, let's start with how the day flows. And a lot of this stuff, guys, is in the program, is in like I said, the course that we built. 127 modules, I think we're in now on the training course, which is absolutely incredible. So much value there. And a lot of this stuff is in there, but just, a real brief synopsis of a couple of tangible things that you can do. For me, getting to bed at night at a decent time, for me about 10 o'clock, and making sure that I can get up at a good time. So I'm more of a morning person. I'm not a night person. I like to go to bed early and then get up early, because that time in the morning is about the only time that you can really it's your time.
Yeah, your time.
It's your time.
Yeah.
It's your time. And whatever that is to you, and again, not to beat yourself up about it, if your time is to make a coffee and sit there in complete silence for 30 minutes and just enjoy your coffee, if that's what you need to set you up into the right mindset for the day, that's absolutely fine. For me, I like to wake up and I like to just spend like 30 minutes where I like stretch, be good to my body, do some yoga, do some ab workout, whatever it is, because for me, it just makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Yeah. It gives me that solid, every day, what's the word I'm looking like? Discipline. It's that discipline. Yep. Mm-hmm. Get up. Sounds crazy, right? It sounds like some military thing, but get up, make your bed, move your body, earn your breakfast after you've been laying on your back for 8 hours. So that's one thing. get up a little bit earlier and find some time for you in the morning. And then the phone thing, what you said is absolutely massive. So try your very best. And a lot of people say this, again, it's not this, none of this stuff is rocket science, but try and stay off of your phone for like the first 30 minutes of the day. And where a lot of people go wrong with this is they use the phone for the alarm. And I did this for a long, long time. And the alarm goes off, you turn off the alarm, and then what's the first thing you see is 68 notifications that came in through the night. And then you're like, oh, Facebook, oh, Instagram, oh,
you're gone.
Yes. Next thing you know, you've been in bed 15 minutes scrolling at absolute crap. So try and get yourself a different alarm clock, turn your phone off way before you go to bed, put it in a drawer somewhere and leave it off until you've got up, you've done your thing, you've had your workout, you've had your coffee, you've read your book, whatever it is that you need, you've done your journaling, and then you've had your shower, and then you're like, okay, the day's about to begin, turn on the phone.
Yep. I mean, I'll definitely second that because I'm a morning person too. But what about like people who are a bit of a night owls, you know, they can't drag themselves in the morning? I mean, I don't know. For me, it's quite, I have a different perspective as well, because I believe that we are built to get up early, but obviously there are people who,
your schedule's different,
Yeah, but let's say, for example, my case, if the kids don't sleep well, then, you know.
You can't just switch off at 10.
No, yep. I mean, the kids might have woken me up midnight, 2 o'clock, you know, 4 o'clock. I don't know. How can I do exercise from that? It's really hard.
Yeah. So how do you navigate that?
Just have to you kind of bite the bullets and then just fight through it, you know.
And once you've done it, you feel better?
Feel a lot better, yep. But what about people who are like really, really night owls? You know, they can't go to bed early, and what would you say to them? Like, can they do the same routine but at night before they go to bed? Or
it's hard for me to imagine because I'm so far the opposite. But I would say if you're not a night owl, if you are a night owl, maybe try to train yourself to not be, because I do genuinely think that time in the morning is so precious, and you can get so much done. There's something about that time of the day. You know, a lot of people are, you know, they do just have higher energy levels. They can't, you know, they need to unwind before they can sleep and all the rest of it. I get that. But I do think a lot of people that say, oh, I'm a night owl, I can't go to bed, I can't sleep till 1. It's probably because they're you know, they're watching Netflix at 11.
Exactly.
You know, they're scrolling their phone at the same time. They're drinking coffee or Coke, or, you know, Jack and Coke at, you know, 10 o'clock and then they can't sleep. And then they're like, oh, I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not a freaking night owl. No. You just, your routine's all fucked up.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
If from 7:30 p.m. you're like, okay, blue lights off, phone in the drawer, no TV, I'm going to read instead, then I'm going to do a bit of meditation, some yoga, whatever it is, listen to some music, slowly wind down. I'm pretty sure most people can be in bed by 10, 11
That's
o'clock.
what my dad always said to me. You know, if anybody goes to him and said, I can't sleep, the first thing he would ask is, have you done your exercise for the day? You know, and most people would be like, no, I don't. I said, well, go and do your exercise, and then you can sleep.
Yeah.
If you
earn that rest.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Mate, I think we'll leave it there. There's some really good takeaways there. But in a nutshell, guys, mindset, there's no secret to it. You're going to have some really shit days, endless days where you're like, what did I do? I'm going back to the job. This is too much work. But at the end of the day, surround yourself by the right people. You know, keep dusting yourself off. Keep moving forward. And I've said this before. It's like it's a mathematical certainty that if you keep going in one direction, it's impossible that you can't get to the final destination. It might take years instead of months, or months instead of weeks, but you have to get there. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
It's just how much you can take in the meantime as you're walking forward, you're getting punched in the face every other day. But you've just got to take it and keep going. But it's worth it, right?
100%. I'm still working on my 6 packs. It's been 36 years.
Yeah. Same. I'm going to go on a diet of dust, see if I can get there. Right, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Airbnb Blueprint podcast. Really, really appreciate your support. Don't forget to drop us a follow and leave us a review if you're getting knowledge from this podcast. And also don't forget to head over to Facebook and join our amazing free community, the Airbnb Blueprint coaching community over there. Endless amounts of tips, knowledge, scripts, templates, mastermind, lesson guides, webinars going on in there, everybody chatting and sharing knowledge. That's the place where you need to be if you want to build a successful Airbnb business going into 2025 and beyond. Find the link in the show notes below. And until then, we'll see you next week on another episode of the Airbnb Blueprint Podcast. Take care.